Cincinnati's football stadium, the home of the beloved Bengals, stands proudly along the Ohio River. This award-winning facility creates the western boundary of the bank's development. Centuries earlier, in the mid-1800s, this area of Cincinnati was comprised of factories, foundries, and warehouses. In the adjacent lot, owned coincidentally by Joseph Burroughs, stood the Oscar Onken Company. Unfortunately, on November 9, 1891, fire broke out at the factory, resulting in the death of 2 firefighters and Onken's employee, William Myers. Myers played for the West End amateur football team, which after his death held a tournament to raise money for his widow. Many local teams participated, galvanizing the local football community and increasing interest in the sport. And soon thereafter, the Celts were formed, Cincinnati's first professional football team. The Celts would travel to play other teams in their league, including one from the Cleveland area, the Massillon Tigers. It was here that a young boy named Paul Brown snuck into Massillon professional football games and grew to love the sport. That young football fan would go on to play at Massillon High School and then as quarterback at Miami University. He would transition to coaching, first at Massillon Washington High School, where he spent a decade creating a winning tradition, and then as head coach at the Ohio State University, securing their very first national championship in 1942. After success at Ohio State and enlisting in the Navy during World War II, Brown was hired to coach a new professional team in Cleveland, Ohio.
50,000 football fans at Cleveland see the Detroit Lions get going against the Cleveland Browns in the playoffs for the pro title.
The team would be named the Browns and achieve early success in the NFL. At the helm, Paul Brown won numerous championship titles, became an innovator of the game, and played a key role in breaking the color barrier in the league. While Brown had been ascending the football ladder, Cincinnati saw numerous football teams come and go. The Celts folded in the 1920s, followed by the Reds, the Models, and the Trestlers, which were quarterbacked by none other than Pete Rose's father, Harry. Then, in the late 1930s, the original Bengals were formed, named after a popular stove brand of the day. The Bengals gained a following and plans were developed for a possible stadium on the riverfront. Unfortunately, in 1942, their league folded and the Bengals were no more, leaving the city without a professional football team for more than 2 decades. Until the mid-1960s, when the NFL awarded a new franchise to Paul Brown, no longer coaching in Cleveland, his son Mike, and their investment partners who decided to bring football back to Cincinnati. They resurrected the Bengals name, named Paul Brown as the first head coach, and began playing in UC's Nippert Stadium in 1968. As part of the deal to bring a franchise to Cincinnati, the city built a large-capacity stadium to be shared by the Bengals and the Cincinnati Reds. In 1970, Riverfront Stadium was completed, and the Bengals opened their season in the new venue with the win over the Oakland Raiders. The team would win their division in that inaugural year, and over the next 3 decades, the Bengals would win the infamous Freezer Bowl, achieve numerous trips to the playoffs, and compete in 2 Super Bowls. Sadly, in August of 1991, Paul Brown passed away, but not before leaving an indelible mark on the NFL and on the city of Cincinnati, and entrusting his family with carrying on his tradition and overseeing the franchise's future. This future would soon include the construction of a football-only stadium along the riverfront. In collaboration with the city and Hamilton County, the stadium, originally named Paul Brown Stadium was opened on September 10, 2000, to a Cincinnati record sports crowd of more than 64,000. In this new venue, the Bengals again achieved numerous division titles, playoff victories, and another Super Bowl run. The Bengals Stadium was the first step in the revitalization of the Cincinnati riverfront, providing an amazing venue for fans to enjoy football and so much more, and serving as a legacy to those who paved the way before the Banks.
For more information about the Cincinnati Bengals, visit Bengals.com. To discover more about the Banks, visit thebankspublicpartnership.com.